Adam Roosevelt joining me now, a Republican strategist and an expert on national and homeland security. Adam, thank you so much for taking the time to be here this Friday. John Ratcliffe's comments, right or wrong?
I would say right, but I'd also say many of the statements regarding China being the biggest threat to national security, they always fail to address accountability of past administrations. We've heard this statement for generations that China is a threat. The question is, how did China become the number one threat to our national security? This is a great power competition. It's a race, and it's really a full contact sport. So we expect this from the Chinese government. But the question that I would ask is, how did the Chinese become the number one national security threat? And it's an interesting conversation to have as we look at historicals.
Well, I think we've been staring at smartphones and televisions and entertainment and football games and basketball games and enjoying ourselves overall and not paying attention to the threats that surround us all over the world. It's a dangerous place, this thing we live in called the world. But I think we've been distracted by so many things we haven't paid attention, most Americans anyhow. What do you think of that?
I think you're absolutely right. And I will tell you that from an economic perspective, the world has benefited from the Chinese being a manufacturing and cheap labor powerhouse. Our goal now needs to be to transition away from this reliance on China and centered more on our trade relations, but being a manufacturing hub for our own country. So I think the dependence on China has been primarily because folks were trying to maximize profits for generations. And now we're in a situation where COVID-19 has reminded America that we don't have control of our supply chains. So this is just one element of the power struggle here between the United States and China and our reliance on the Chinese.
We don't even have control of pharmaceuticals. Antibiotics, for example, the last penicillin plant in America closed in 2004 after China bought up all the rest of the plants worldwide, crushed the price, and put that company out of business, leaving America vulnerable with antibiotics, the most basic health protective drug out there. What about Joe Biden and his cozy relationship with Biden? How concerned are you about that as you look at it?
I'll tell you this, I'm very concerned, but I've been concerned prior to Obama administration as well as the Biden administration because of how far the Chinese have come. In my world, I spent 9 years in the U.S. military working in counterinsurgency and the Middle East. I got a chance to really study the problems that are global and are threats to our national security. And I spent 4 years at the Department of Homeland Security working for the Intelligence and Analysis Division, boots on the ground inside, seeing what these threats really are, understanding how law enforcement has the tools and capabilities. But I'll say that there's a taxonomy of national security threats that are so wide-ranging in today's landscape. U.S. supply chain readiness here, strategic economic investments that the Chinese use to weaponize leverage. Experts, they remain experts in our backyard and how to win, even here in the United States. So I would say if Joe Biden decides to come in, provided this goes in the direction of Joe Biden, we're going to have a lot to talk about across a variety of different national security threats.
Well, I mentioned during the break when we were talking that I live in East Lansing, Michigan. Michigan State University, a major university. The number of foreign students and Chinese students by the thousands here. That's true all across America. The Chinese students have come in. Chinese have become welcomed here. And I wonder if that's put us at a disadvantage. I'm also curious, you made the comment you came, up for air, if you will, from underwater. What do you think China's role has been in disrupting America's elections? We have all these conflicts and questions about voting machines and electronics. I know that China's obviously deeply immersed in all of that. What do you make of it?
I will tell you, back in 2016, we looked at these type of things, and I worked with the Department of Homeland Security. You may have seen the news. Director Christopher Krebs was fired, who made the statement that the elections were secure. I do find it interesting at the time of 2016 that the focus was cyber, whereas now the focus is integrity and fraud. I would say that cyber didn't play much of a role here, as per the Department of Homeland Security. We've had more issues here with our own citizens and being accountable and holding to the integrity that we, as American citizens, are due to hold to. So I don't think that the Chinese played a role in cyber. I do believe that they played a role in information warfare campaigns, which is always an asset and a tool they will leverage to gain
Sure.
a winning position.
Old-fashioned propaganda is what you're saying. Old-fashioned hammer us with the message, whether it's on social media or buying space on the Wall Street Journal. I'll give you 15 seconds for the last word.
Okay, well, I'll just say that PSYOPs is a well-coordinated campaign, and it requires folks to really understand the strategy. If America wants to get ahead, it has to think about the taxonomy of these threats and outpace our competitors.
Adam Roosevelt, great having you here. Great insight. Would love to have you back on the program and dig deeper because of your experience and your insight. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you.